RESPECT. Find out what it means to me. RESP. Let's see. RESPICT. That's better. Take care of TCB. Ooh, soccer to me. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj show.
Of China's.
I am he. It is the weekend, midday, kind of evening edition. Baby, how y'all is? Come on in. Water's fine. Ooh to the wee. Oh boy, I got another one. Hot off the presses. It's not all that hot anymore. It's kind of lukewarm now because a lot of people, when it comes to news today, people tend to, news will break today and tomorrow is old news. It's just as outdated as the iPhone I bought in December. By March, it was outdated. Blessings to you, Elder Griffin, and a whole bunch of you who's coming in here. Let's talk about the grope that was saw around the world. Gropeology. Y'all already knew I was going to talk about this right here. Gonna have to catch this. Yeah. Some of you, a whole bunch of you ain't going to like this one. But I got to break it down by culture. Some of you Christians are not going to like it. Some of you will. Some of you who are worldly, unbelievers, who are unchurched, you ain't going to like this. Some of you might. No, I think most of you ain't going to like this at all. All right? This show is about understanding culture, not making culture right. Understand? This is about culture, which don't mean that culture is correct and tradition is correct. No. Some things in culture need to be shot, burned, and then buried in the grave. Yeah, Joe Hill, he was making sure. All right, so let me explain to y'all something here. I believe in my heart of hearts that Bishop Ellis is a good man. He's been a good man for as long as I've known him. Personally met him, personally served. I didn't serve in his church. I attended his church while there. I'm in Chicago, so you have to drive down 94, and you'll be there in about 4-5 hours, depending on who's driving. All right. I remember in the 1990s being at church in the dining hall where people were eating dinner, breakfast, or whatever it was. A young lady had an itch, had a problem, had a pain in the shoulder, and it just bothered her. And so we were good friends, and so I thought to do the manly thing is to go over and rub her shoulder to get that pain out because she was struggling with that pain. And I massaged her shoulder so that things would be better for my friend. And nobody around said anything. I just did that. She said, "Oh, that feels so much better. Thank you, Brother Jones." I said, "No problem," and I walked away. Only a couple of days later, I got a call from the first lady and told me to come to the office. I want to talk to you, Shantae. And she told me that what I did was inappropriate. And I says, I can't understand. It ain't like we was kissing and having inappropriate stuff going on in front. The woman had an itch and I scratched her. She says, "I don't care. That was not your job to do that. One of the other young ladies could have done it." I says, "Okay, I get it." I was young then, didn't understand, so I rebelled against it. I rebelled against her because I knew in my heart of hearts that what I was doing was trying to help a sister out and not trying to grope her. Understand that? Y'all, please stay with me because I'm trying to tell y'all what I think the problem is with what happened at Aretha Franklin's funeral. There is the issue of interpretation, and then there's the issue of culture, and I think a lot of our religious upbringings has caused problems in the world. Okay. what black people do in our churches have not been seen by the masses. We see the people tease us in a lot of their TV shows and on the movies. You look at the Blues Brothers, how Jake and Elroy went to the church because they said God had a plan for them, and there was the king of funk there in his robe, James Brown, and then he saw them, and they, y'all know that scene in the Blues Brothers, and then before you know it, they jumping and shouting, "Oh, Zion," okay? That was the interpretation of what the world saw in the black church. And from there on, we began, and it didn't start there, but we began to see how white folks especially saw our worship, how they thought our worship was. The bishop is over 6 feet tall, barely fit. Yep, and I didn't remember ever bearing Ellis. Yeah, Brooks, I'm with you on here. I'm with you here, and I'm going to explain this. And so when you look on TV, that is what people think how black people worship, all right, in many cases. And you can see how sometimes how people write it in their scripts, how phony people get. They overly act their black praise parts. You know what I'm saying? They overly active. Anyway, I'm watching Greenleaf right now. It's an Oprah Winfrey production on their own network. It's on Netflix right now, and I'm watching these episodes with them at the church, and you can see the over expression of the acting in the black church. And I just laugh at it. I laugh at it because that's the black folks and white folks' depiction of African Americans in worship. So what happened though is technology, 24-hour news networks are now interested in filming or covering our funerals. And so I think it probably opened up America when Whitney Houston, when she died. The cameras, the news, CNN and Fox and MSNBC and BCC or BBC, all these networks decided to have some interest because she was a controversial figure, and a lot of people who have never been to a black church experienced for the first time black worship. And they says, oh, wow. Their assumption is this is how all black people worship. When Mike Brown got shot to death by that cop, the funeral, and then you had the same civil rights leaders speaking, black folks saw how black people have church. So now they've got Whitney Houston, they got that, and then they got Mike Brown. And then here in Chicago, Hydea Pendleton was shot down by a thug, and the first lady came to the funeral. Well, that's going to automatically get national coverage. And then again, they saw black people having church. Well, Aretha Franklin passed, and I know it didn't stop with it. It didn't. I know there were other deaths and shooting in between there where the funeral was covered, but Aretha Franklin, here it is, and people saw this is how black people have church, and then they just assumed that all black funerals are 8 hours long. What do you say, Scott Kelly? Why did I stutter on that last network? What was the last network? MSN? Was that? Anyway, stay with me. Be focused, all right? So the world got a snapshot of black culture. How we sing, how we dance, how we preach, how we scream and yell, and how we can overextend things, how we interpret the world. They saw how musically we embellish. Okay, they saw. When I'm looking at the funeral today of John McCain, that notice how everything is scripted. Every speech is pretty much scripted. The band and the singing is scripted. The standing up and the sitting down, it's all scripted because that's their culture. And if you African Americans would go and sit in that service, you'd think it was the most boring service. But you got to understand it's all about culture. Well, they come over to our church, because I worship at a multicultural church in South Dakota, and it kind of confused some of them, and they thought we were brilliant because they said, how could you play all of this music on your piano and organ and not read not one note? Not that I didn't have the ability to read, because I do read music, but they says, how is it possible that you can do a whole service and not have to read not one single note? And song after song after song, and then this guy, just out of the audience, just break out into a song. You find his key and you play the whole song. How are you able to do that? Also, how are you able to hear a song that you said you never heard before, and by the time you get to the second stanza, you start playing it? How are you able to do that? So they saw improvisation happening in our services, and it baffled them. And you see what I'm saying? And so, these are the norms of the cultural norms of African American worship, opposed to either white, and not so much white, because there's a lot of white Pentecostals who do the same thing, but more so on the denominational level, because I think John McCain's service was an Episcopal. Was it Episcopal or Presbyterian? I think it's Episcopal. All right, which is kind of close to a Catholicism type of service. Understand me? So, what I'm calling is Ariana, Taco Bell, the short dress, and the grope of Bishop Ellis. Let me tell y'all something. I remember being in the South, see, because South has a certain culture than the Midwest do, than the East Coast do, than the West Coast do. Different cultures. We speak differently. And in the South, they still have segregated proms. I was blown away by it. You mean tell me there's a white prom and a black prom? That's amazing. So those of us in the North may not understand some of the things in the South, but it's the way it is. Some of them are comfortable with it, and that's just the way it is. Understand? Some of our church worship and how we worship is just different. Black folks clap on the 2 and the 4. White folks clap on the 1 and the 3. When I go to white churches, I get thrown off. It's like trying to chew gum and walk at the same time, hearing their clap. I'm like, what's going? Whoa! I'm trying to clap, but I'm the only one out of place because I'm clapping on the 2 and the 4. Everybody is clapping on the 1 and the 3. I'm confused. But that's their way of worshiping God. They put on their faded blue jeans and white t-shirts or mom jeans, okay? And biker jackets and all kinds of stuff. That's the way they worship. And I came up under this thing that you're supposed to wear a 2 and 3-piece suit. You're supposed to be casket sharp. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to smell with the Brut by Fabergé or Chanel number 5, and your hair is supposed to be just nice. And anyway, that was the culture, the way I came up under. And so when I went to the white churches to minister, I saw something that was strange to me. They were able to eat food in the sanctuary. I lived in South Dakota, and they was drinking coffee and tea and crumpets in the sanctuary, and I thought, that's heresy. They all going to hell. Why did I believe that? Because I come up under a African American Pentecostal tradition that the sanctuary is not supposed to be tainted with food and being on or reading your newspaper and talking on it, and you have to wear a suit. That's the way I was raised. But that is the cultural norm of the way I come up. Anybody with me here? What a slap in the face. What, Melissa? Okay, stay focused. We were people tripping over how Grande was dressed. Mr. Aretha always had her bosom down. Scott Kelly. I have to read Scott Kelly's and Abronia Scott's first in my mind before I read it out loud, because God knows only what. Scott Kelly, what's your nemesis? What's your character with the teeth? What's his name again? Bring him out. Okay. And so that was the culture norm of my people, and I realized that I was brainwashed in a sense to believe that if there's no Hammond organ there, if there is no particular gospel sound at these churches, then God is not present. Understand? If this Presbyterian church didn't hoop, he didn't tune up, I thought God ain't not here. When the preacher got through, the service was done, there was no dismissal prayer. In my culture, they said, don't leave yet because I've got to speak a blessing over the people. I have got to do doxology. I've got to do a dismissal prayer because I've heard my culture say, if I don't do a prayer right now and you walk out and miss the prayer, something's going to happen to you. Your car gonna explode. Somebody gonna break in your house. Somebody gonna molest you. I've literally heard this from African Americans that I gotta do a dismissal prayer. Don't nobody leave. Hold the doors. Ushers, hold the doors because I gotta do this prayer as if this person don't have the Holy Ghost to walk with them. As if they didn't bring the Spirit with them. As if you told me that this is the temple of the Holy Ghost. You gotta proclaim a prayer over me of protection over me, so you use that to keep me there, but tell me I'm gonna go out there and get shot because you didn't say a few words over my life. That is the norm of the black church especially, and so I'm leading up to this groping situation. I know y'all like, get to it. Well, you stay with me. You joined us. Trust me, there's always some thumbs down already on YouTube. Don't worry about them. They're going to be okay. Hey, Rufus. Scott Kelly, Rufus. I like Rufus. The Word of Faith movement changed that. Agape. Yes. Facts. That's why churches and preachers will go broke to buy an organ to have church, Freddie Banks. So they hired me because they knew that hiring me would bring in the offerings and the tithes and the bodies in that place. And that's why the Hammond organ was so important. Marshall, blessings to you. Come on, Nina, blessings. You can't leave before benediction. Come on, Sierra, I'm telling you, that's the way it was. Doxology. All right. So, let's get to Ellis. Let's get to Brother Ellis, will you please? Because that's why y'all come here. Now, what Ellis did was, did he grope her? Yes, he did. Did he purposely grope her? Yes, he did. In his mind, was it a grope? No, it wasn't. Did I just confuse y'all? You see, what he did, we saw with our own eyes, his hands felt on her breasts. Did he know he was doing that? No, he didn't. He was paying attention to trying to make his joke so that he could, did he know that he was getting ready to make the Taco Bell joke? Yes. Was it funny? Yeah, it was. I'm going to be honest with you, it was funny. Did it offend Hispanics? Yes, it did. Did he purposely offend Hispanics? No, he didn't. Y'all still with me? You disagreeing, ain't you? I see you disagreeing. You see what I'm saying? All right. Did Ariana Grande purposely wear that short dress? Yes, she did. Did she purposely decide to make Bill Clinton, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Ellis uncomfortable while they had to sit there and try to find ways to distract themselves so they wouldn't look at her legs from her buttocks on down as pretty much was all legs? Did she purposely try to do that? No, she did not. She probably, like many people when I go to funerals, those who are worldly people don't really know how to dress for church. They don't. Y'all like, she should know better. Okay, true, she should, but maybe she didn't. So her dress, in her mind, was classy. It was, this is the way probably it would be. I want them to focus on my singing, not so much my dress. So I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. Y'all may disagree. This is where I say, I don't care. So are you saying basically his fingers have a brain, the fingers do what they were doing, but what? I can't see it. I hate this new app. You want to see the rest, but you can't see the rest. Okay? All right, so I can't see Bernie. I was trying to read what you were saying. That poor baby don't know how to dress for church. She probably never been. See, Sierra, there it is. People are going to disagree with us, but she don't know how to dress for that kind of occasion. I do not believe she purposely put that dress on just to entice those brothers in America. I don't believe she did that. And everybody assumes that every man was turned on by her. No, they weren't, Rhonda. There it is. Come on. So, Bishop Ellis groped her. Bishop Ellis is a tall man. I said earlier on this show, that man is a good man. He groped her. He didn't know he was groping her. He put his hand around her to make a joke, which didn't sit right with Hispanics, all right? And he was pulling her in because he was showing kindness to her by bringing her in. So let me talk about the culture. Sierra says she'd probably never been to a black church before. That's true. Let me tell you about the black culture and preachers. Here's what I said earlier, where the norm needs to probably be alterated just a little bit. Okay? Hear this. When I was coming up in the black church, we were told by one scripture to greet one another with a holy kiss. Bernier, that's why it's proper way to hug the opposite sex in the church, shake their hand. Yep, Bernier, here's where I'm going. We were taught to greet one another with a holy kiss, both the men and the women. So we, common practice, especially in the South, and nothing for you see two women kiss, or a man and a woman would kiss with a holy kiss. And you didn't really see that with men on men, which was strange. Because in the Middle East, which is a new term, pretty much it was ripped off and stole. It was cut off from Africa, but that's another story. In the Middle East, in these territories of what's the word I'm trying to find? Okay. Anyway, these who sojourned in that territory, they greeted one another. And if you look at them, you notice how men greet men with a kiss. Not always in the lips, on the cheek, over here and over here. Some men actually do, and some cultures greet one another with a kiss. These are holy kisses. Now, when I was coming up, everybody hugged and kissed everybody. The problem with that is, some have taken it to another level depending on their lust or their desire for a certain person. This is why today I'm tired of turn to your neighbor. I'm getting to the place where I'm hating it, because in this culture you can't turn to your neighbor and high five him, look him dead in the eye and hold him and hug him and kiss him and grope him, and that pretty much that's what you're saying. So people come to church purposely trying to sit as close as they can to the one that they are lustfully attached to, so that they know that the preacher's going to say, turn to your neighbor and do some kind of molest move. So when that happens, these women feel uncomfortable. So I wish y'all would stop with the turn to the neighbor. If you ain't got nothing else to say in your sermon, God, I'm tell y'all, nasty kiss and leave and spit on your face. Don't try it with me, Michelle says. It's turning the women off. The men love it, unless there's another man standing there and kiss your neighbor. Now he like, oh, bro, just high five me. All right. So we preachers are causing the flock to rape one another. It's a rape culture in our church, and I'm tired of it. All right. So Bishop Ellis come up under that tradition. He come up under that culture. And when I was being ordained in class, they told me, listen, we live in a different culture now. These women are coming forth. They've got clergy hotlines, clergy abuse hotlines all over now, clergy abuse websites, all right? And you young preachers, this was years ago, they said, the bishops were telling us, you right now, we have to protect you and help you protect yourself, because you're getting ready to get a license to do things that you can't do right now as a minister. Because without this license, you can't marry people, you can't bury people, you can't dedicate buildings, you can't do all these things. You still got some jurisdiction, and in that jurisdiction have boundaries and limitations. But when we give you this license, you'll be able to do a lot of other stuff. but we've got to teach you in this class right now how to protect your butt. And here's one thing that you got to be careful of. In the prayer line in front of folks, you can't be laying hands on all the women. Oh, man. Here's why I'm getting deep in this. You just can't lay hands on a woman because she say, pray for me. Because some of the women, some of them, not all of them, want you to touch them so that they can have a lawsuit. The Church of God in Christ, the Apostolic Church, and the Catholic churches are being taken to court day after year, after week, after month, after year, and spending millions of dollars in lawsuits because a woman cried rape. Some of the women are correct in their cry, and some of them are not. So they were telling us, listen, if somebody call you and tell you to come over to the house to counsel them, you ask them, is your husband going to be home? No, then say no. You say, can we go to the library? Can we go to a restaurant? Can we go to a public place where there's a whole bunch of lights and everybody's around, and then we could counsel? If you come to my office, my secretary got to be there. If you don't want the secretary in the room, the door got to be open and she got to be sitting outside that door. I'm going to have to record this. Or I got to have cameras pointing at me and pointing at you. Why? Because this is to protect my butt. Not so much you. I got to protect me first. So you coming and lying to me, saying, Pastor, my breast hurt. Can you lay hands on it? And he like, sure I can. Ooh, I was waiting all month to do this. And he like, all right, baby, unbutton yourself. Okay, there you go. Father, in the name of Jesus. Yeah. Okay, y'all got to stop that mess. Stop it. When I was coming up, you can do that mess. And it was fine because you trusted your pastor because he's a decent man, love his wife, and don't have no scandal on him. But don't let your good be evil spoken of. You can't be laying hands on breasts and pouring all of this oil on here and say, ooh, let me bless you. Okay? You can't do it. The pastor, my buttocks is, I have pain in my booty. And can you just lay hands on it softly, please, because it hurts. No problem, daughter. No, please, pastor, don't do that. You got to be careful. Don't lay your hands on the women no more. So if I'm in the altar line and if I'm praying with the brothers and some sister come up to me and say, right here, it hurts, Ella Jones, I'll say, hey, sis, hey, come here. Missionary Bobo, come here. Yes, here. We all anointed. We all should be able to pray for the sister. I'm going to say the words, but you can lay hands on her. You lay hands on her. Let me just sit here and pray for her. Now, God bless her. Whatever aching in her breasts is, clear it up, God, and all of the blemishes and the blots, clear it up and do it through that woman, because I ain't touching her. I ain't touching her. Not me. Jesus spoke, and they were healed. Do I have to spit on you too to get you to see? Go wash your eyes in the pool of Shalom. I'll spit if you need me to, but I ain't touching you. No. And nowadays, unfortunately, some of the women can't touch the women because some of these women are nasty too. So it's just best that we don't touch each other. And I know what the Bible says, but you ain't got to do with all of that stuff. Just speak it and have the prayer, the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. Let that be your commission and walk away from all of this rape culture. All right. So Bishop Ellis, being as tall as he was, reached over, had a funny, not so funny Taco Bell joke, and he was bringing her in to show his hospitality and didn't realize he was groping her breast. And the world saw it. And I knew we were going to have a problem. See, because the world can't understand the culture when a man is showing his chivalry this way. And this is why I say this culture, though, of being overly friendly, got to stop. It's got to stop. I'm not rebuking Ellis because I still think he's a good man and that he did not do that on purpose. But I'm using Ellis' story as a lesson to the rest of y'all. It's time out, brothers. You can't touch the women. You can't do it. Trust me, I've been told that I was inappropriate maybe once, it's been once in a long time because I said something out of being kind. I was being kind. She found it inappropriate. No one else found it inappropriate, but she did. So you got to also determine, because she found it inappropriate, will everybody else find it inappropriate? In some cases, only she found it inappropriate and you might have been fine, but she has some issues with herself. There's some things that happened in the past with her. There might be some molestation. She might have been raped. Her father might have been absent, or the overbearingness and over nurturing of the mom, and all these things could happen to a woman. Now she's in her 40s or 50s and she don't know how to interact with you when you're trying to be a gentleman. She don't know what to do with it. She thinks you're trying to be a predator, but you're trying to be a gentleman, and she don't know what to do with it. So you got to let the Spirit use you and how to operate and how to be around this woman. I picked up the phone one time and called this young lady I ain't seen in about 20 years, 25 years. I said, how you doing? I ain't seen you in a while. You know, we had just been together the night before at a funeral or at a service. I don't know what it was. Anyway, I'm talking to her. We're shooting the breeze, talking about families and what have you. And then before I hung up the phone, I said, all right, I appreciate you. I love you. And she said, oh, okay, thanks. I hung up the phone. Didn't think nothing of it. I went back to doing whatever I was doing, and then the phone rang. I'm like, oh, okay. Hello. And it was a mutual friend of ours, and she was like, hey, Walter. I said, yeah. How you doing? I said, fine. She said, are you in love with Bobo? You know, Bobo was always, that's the closest I could find is not finding one of y'all's names, okay? I said, am I in love with Bobo? I love everybody. She said, no, are you in love with Bobo? I said, I don't even know her that much. I saw her 25 years ago. I don't even know her. Why would you say I'm in love with her? Well, she called me just a few minutes ago. I said, she did? Oh, what'd she say? She said, you love her. You in love with her. I said, what? No, I said, I love you. She said, yeah. Why you tell her that? I said, excuse me? She said, why you tell her? I said, because it's true. I love you too. You love me too? Get off my phone. Okay? I see that a lot among the women today. So I called the young lady back who I said I love you to. Hello? I said, hey, Bobo. She said, yeah. You all right? I said, yeah. You think I'm in love with you? She said, well, didn't you say that you were? I said, I love you. We in the South. I mean, we so far south that if I take 2 steps, I'm swimming in the Southern Sea. I don't even think they call it no. If I take just 5 more steps, I'm in Cuba. That's how far south we are. And you mean to tell me that you don't know what chivalry is? You don't know when a man is being a gentleman and being kind and showing godly love and agape love towards you by saying, I love you? Are you that? And then I realized, maybe she's not told that anymore. Maybe it don't happen in her circle anymore. I said, baby, listen. Ooh, I said, baby. Now I got to explain, baby. You see what I'm saying? We can't use terms of endearment today with today's woman without them saying, ooh, I think Sirwalterj's in love with me. How you know? He said, baby. He said, I love you. And I'm trying to tell you, people were marrying me off. They were marrying me off. Calling me, says, hey, I heard that y'all are engaged. I'm like, who engaged? Yeah, I heard that y'all are. I said, who are you talking about? Well, so-and-so said that y'all are. I said, because I said I love her? I said, I got to stop saying that. Ain't it a shame that we can't show this because some of the women today on how they were raised? It's a shame folks don't know what agape love is. It is a shame, Essex, but that's the way it is. She needed a man in her life and you were the one shouting against it. I know it's bad. It's really bad. So you got to be careful. Now, church culture. Let me close this down because I know it's Saturday and some of y'all at the grocery store. Here's what I want to say. It is tent revival season. It's tent revival season in Chicago especially. Adrian said Casanova. All right? people are putting up tents all over Chicago because it's summer. School is getting ready to start for most. Some are already in school. And these tents are going up everywhere. And let me tell you about the tent season. This is going to offend some of you. You think I care? I don't care. Here's the problem with tents today. I think y'all are overstaying your welcome at the Motel 6. The season for tents about died or they dead. Here's why. Because the people or the churches putting up the tents still are using 8-track theology. I heard the great Chris Harris use the analogy of Pastor Jasper Williams doing the eulogy at Aretha Franklin, says that he was teaching from the 8-track and not an iPad. I thought it was brilliant. Chris Harris, somebody could hit him up because he was right about that. All right? I'm thinking that many of you who are putting up these tents are still using the same vernacular and the same tactics that your great-grandfather used in 1925. Yes. All right. Okay. Y'all got a church, a brick-and-mortar church, and then y'all spend all this money putting a tent just a few feet from the church. And guess who fills that tent? The members of that church fill that tent. Okay. Number 2, you have runners out there who go up and down the street and inviting people to the tent, and they stopping cars. Now that's good. I like that. All right. Who shows up to the tent that are non-members? Alcoholics, those drunks. They're going to show up to everything you do outside. Drunks always show up. Scott said, you're going to get hit in your eye. Drunks show up. Those who are mentally ill will show up. All right? And they're going to come and disrupt the tent. And they're going to make the evangelist work extra hard. And he's going to do stuff and use her and him as an example. You might see somebody come in there with a cripple in a wheelchair or a walking cane or something like that. And so now here we go. We're getting ready to work. And I don't know if I should do this because this is insensitive for some of y'all. So what happens is the evangelist is using indoor church organized religious terms that he picked up from great-grandfather's ministry of the 1920s. He's still using those same terms outside in 2018-19. All right? Notice I added an extra year because somebody's going to watch this next year. Yeah, trying to expel demons. Yes. So he's saying, hello, walls. He's telling y'all inside not to wear lipstick and nose rings. And he's telling you that you're supposed to give tithes and offerings and obey the pastor and all these things that inside the church that you would do. See, when I have a family meeting, I don't invite nobody to the meeting but my family. That's the wife, the husband, and the children. And we close the door. Nobody is allowed over. Daddy, can I have some company? No, because we got to have a family meeting. And we talk about family stuff. When we go out in the street, we don't iron out our family matters. You see what I'm saying? When in Rome, you do what the Romans do. Yeah, keep that dress to the ankles. Yeah, so we put a tent out there, spend all all that money. Two people come from outside and sit there and say they enjoy it. And most times, those people who come to the tent are already Christians who belong to another church. They're just coming to that tent revival to enjoy the service with you, and they're going to be back at their church on Sunday. Am I upsetting you? Y'all know I'm going to get in trouble for this. Ask me if I care. Okay? All right? And so the evangelists don't know how to translate his message to street. He don't have to use ebonics. He don't have to use the current day vernacular. No. But it's difficult for him to reach those in the street because all he knows is indoor theology. Yes. So the ones who are actually reaching those in the street are the very ones with the nose rings and the tattoos. They're the ones who's actually doing the ministry and the evangelistic work. Yes. See, when y'all tell us, not me, I don't do tattoos, but when you tell a person to remove tattoos, okay, I can't tell you how many people who got converted with that tattoo on, and they became the greatest evangelists to others who have tattoos and nose rings and fuchsia and pink and blue hair and tight, raggedy, rugged jeans and biker wear on and all these things, who they appear to be worldly. But many of them are hurting and they don't want to be in that state. And so another one with that same look speak to them. A person who comes to them with a clergy collar on, they like, I don't want to talk to you. What can you possibly tell me about myself? Scott says, I knew my tattoos was preaching. I know. I'm trying to tell y'all. So this kind of church culture don't work in the world. So the world examined Aretha Franklin's funeral and says, these Negroes crazy. They groping folk right in front of the world. I went to a homeless shelter, a men's homeless shelter. And I would always visit. I would go there to talk to the men, and the men trusted me. And the administration realized that the men were trusting me. They saw me as a good man. I never walked in there with my clergy collar, with my beautiful ring, and my Class A, Class B robe on, and with the Bible in the hand. No, I went in there like this. Why? I ain't want to offend folk with all my pomp and circumstance. I always walked in there like this. And I talked to them in their language. You see, Jesus went into the streets. He hung with the folk that y'all don't like. But he hung with those prostitutes and publicans, people who were rejected by the Jews. He hung out with them. And they said, how dare you sit with these people? He said, it is not those who are well that seek a physician. Y'all in there preaching to each other. Y'all in there saving each other. You put a tent up, and the same people who getting saved in the tent are the same people who go to your church on Sunday. The same church who put the tent out, the same people leave the church and go into the tent and get saved. And all the sinners around the church saying, I hate that tent because they're taking up the parking and they loud. They're out there shouting and screaming at 10, 30, 11 o'clock at night. And we're trying to sleep. We need to go to work and school. And they can't stand when that tent come up. Because you didn't talk to them all week, all month, all year. Your church been there for 20, 30 years, and nobody rang a bell and offered them nothing, but y'all put a tent up there just to disrupt peace. That's the way the neighborhood look at y'all when y'all put those tents up. They never see you. You don't care about their families. That's the way they look at you. You understand what I'm saying? I can't say this is an exclusive message and rebuke to all churches who put up tents, because I know churches who put up tents but do wonderful work with the neighborhood. Mines do. Our church right now got a tent out right now. But my church, y'all know I'm going to be a part of a church. it's going to have to be a church that do some mission work. My church is worldwide mission. I got some missionaries right here who go to my church, who just come from Puerto Rico, who just come from Cuba, who just come from Europe, all right? They just come from there, making an impact on the world, all right? So we're at least doing something. But I don't always agree with everybody, all right? So I'm at this homeless shelter, and the woman says, hey, could you teach a class on how to be healed of addiction? I said, sure I can. No problem. She said, okay, when can you do it? She looked at the calendar, and she said, well, we got next week open. I said, next week is fine. She said, it's in that room right there. Let me take you to the room. She took me to the room, and there was a whiteboard, big, long whiteboard. I was like, yeah, y'all know I like teaching. As y'all can see, I got the whiteboard right there. I love teaching, all right? I said, cool, I can do that. She says, all right, Saturday at 12 noon, it's about 2 hours long. Or you can do it? I said, yeah. She said, good, we'll put you in the books. That was Monday. I was going there every day, and then she said, okay, you ready for the class? You know the class is tomorrow. I said, yeah, I'm cool. She said, Brother Jones, let me ask you this question. I said, sure, what's the question? Freddie Banks? I said, what's the question? She said, let me ask you a question. How long ago have you been healed of alcoholic drug addiction? I said, excuse me? She said, yeah, I want to know how long. How long so that I can let the people know when I introduce you. I says, oh, I've never been hooked on alcohol, and I've never been addicted to drugs. She said, excuse me? I said, no, I've been clean all my life. You know what she said? She said, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cancel you. I said, wait a minute. I'm studying, I'm on the internet trying to figure out what this addiction is and what the cause of it and how do you kick it and all this stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't understand. Why would you cancel? She says, if you go in that room tomorrow and those men discover that you ain't never touched the stuff, two things gonna happen. Number one, they gonna think we crazy and we insensitive for inviting somebody in here to talk to you who ain't never been hooked on that stuff. And number two, they're gonna run you out of town. They're gonna want to kill you. How could you identify with them if you never had this struggle? I said, you know what? You probably got a point. You probably. I said, now I have had. I told her I have had other addictions. I was hooked on women's. They called me a hoe. I had a hoe addiction. She said, yeah, no, this ain't hoe addiction anonymous. No, this is alcohol and drugs. She said, one addiction is not another addiction. I says, well, I kind of beg to differ from you because I know a Lord, I know a God who can heal man whole. I says, but naturally, I get what you're saying. And so I just did this. And moved on. But I continue to inspire the men in other ways through Bible study and to talk to them on manly things. So ain't nobody telling you to remove those tattoos, Scott Kelly, because that tattoo can reach Bojangles in the way that I cannot. That nose ring, Michelle, can reach Sister Lucretia in a way that I cannot. I can't. And to some of them, I'm too clean, inside and out. But you can, because you dipped in the sea of discontent at one time. And now you can minister to them. Third, you're going to get hit in the eye. Come on. I told the congregation last Sunday that we have to become a church without walls, meaning we have to, I had to look it over here because, again, I told you what you saying, Felicia? Meaning we have to go to the places that people deem unfavorable in order to minister to them. Come on. You preaching, Felicia. I love that you look more sanctified with the collar. Come on, Don. Yes, sir. Jesus was with the people, Lena says. All right. So this show, trust me, Yes, you don't speak their addictive language. Victoria, that's it. Hear her. Hear what she says. I did not understand their addictive language. I couldn't talk to them. So when you preachers try to go out there and win folks, they look at you funny because you don't even know how to talk to them. Talking about some, hey, y'all need to stop dipping snuff. Who's dipping snuff today? These young folks don't even know what a snuff dipping is. Dipping snuff. Hey, little boy, yes. Are you pitching pennies? Stop that pitching pennies. Who pitching pennies? What? Who's still doing this? Who doing this today? Pitching pennies. I just can't understand that. Hey, young man. Yeah, sir. Listen, are you doing the twist? Don't be doing that twist. We don't do twists around. Who doing the twist? Who's hey, young man, yes. You listening to Elvis Presley on your iPod? You don't be listening to who listen to Elvis? Well, okay, I'm sorry. I do listen to Elvis Presley every now. Who listen to Elvis Presley in their 20s and the 30s? Who 15 years old talking about something? Don't be listening to Elvis Presley. Don't be pitching pennies. Don't be sniffing duff. Oh my God. And that's the problem that we have in the black culture today, especially these preachers who are up in age, and some of these young preachers who got an old pastor with old ways, old tradition. Now this guy is 17, 18 years old, and he preached the same way, hooped the same way, talked the same way this old man is, and he going out there in the school in the streets, out there trying to win the young folk using those old time 1945 terminology. Man, they gonna run you out the street. They gonna run you out. Bringing that church culture out there. They gonna crucify you. So when Jesus went out into the streets, he was relevant and he understood social issues as well as religious issues. You preachers out there you decide, I ain't watching the news. I've heard you say the news is depression. You depressing. How is it possible that you over a flock of people and the flock are going through issues at home and on their jobs dealing with economics and political and social, okay, and all these things and psychological, but all you do is read the Bible all week long and then you go to church and preach from the Bible, and these people in your church, a lot of times they don't even know what you're saying. And they go home with the same problems: economic, social, psychological, political. Man, you name. They have issues with police and racism and bigotry and all this stuff. But every Sunday, you never talk about that stuff. You don't know what's on the news because you don't like it to hear. You don't like to watch it because it's too. It just makes you depressed. So you turn it off and you turn on Basketball Wives or Olivia Pope or something like that. Pastor, you weak. You as weak. You're the weak as weak. The Apostle Paul and Silas and Barnabas and his contemporaries, I'm sure Lydia and Phoebe and Aquila and Priscilla and all these people, they understood the way of the Roman Empire. They understand how the Sanhedrins operated. They understand how the Pharisees operated. They understood what publicans did. Not Republicans, but publicans, okay? They understood the way, the culture of the time on all things. It made them well-rounded. How do you think they were able to operate the way they did? And so the scriptures, even Paul talked to Timothy in the letters and told him to pray for those in leadership and those kings and potentates and what have you. It says so that you might lead, L-E-A-D, lead a peaceable life. How can you lead a peaceable life among these politicians? They follow you. You don't follow them. Today, unfortunately, y'all are allowing Donald Trump and his cohorts and the local people in your arena, whether it's Democratic or Republican, you follow them. And so they create these laws that you follow, all right? They change laws and manipulate laws so that you follow them. And they tell you what you're supposed to pay in this because you follow them. And that's totally against scripture. The Bible says you are the lender, not the borrower. You are the kings and priests. You are the royal priesthood, a royal nation. You are the ones, and the world's supposed to come to you for leadership. You are supposed to lead a peaceable life. When something happens in the world, when there's a talk and rumors of wars, they come to you. When 911, when the towers were hit, all right, everybody was crying, God bless America, and they was filling in the churches. Why? Because they were looking for you. They were looking to you for a word. They were looking to you for encouragement. They were looking to you for interpretation of what's happening. They were looking to you for prophecy, and you were weak. You didn't know what to tell them because you was weeping too. You was gnashing of teeth too. You was crying and wondering, God help us, what we gonna do? I don't know what to do. And so the world was like, what kind of power you got? And I don't even want to come to this church. I don't want to be a part of this religion if you just as weak as I am. So the world's supposed to look to you for an answer, and you looking to the world for an answer and a handout. So when we see these funerals on TV, the world is looking at them saying, these folk crazy. They crazy. That's why I love the jail ministry. I get to the raw truth. Come on, agape. I became all things to all men, Freddie Banks. I became all things to all men so that I might win some. It's the Apostle Paul's language. We have a tendency to sweep the natural issues under the rug in the church. Felicia, oh, Victoria, y'all preaching. They come and go out the same way week after week after week. Oh, man, I'm trying to tell you all. So this is an open rebuke to those of you who are lazy, who refuse to stop and talk to those who don't look like you. And those in the Bible, a lot of them were the same way. Oh, the Jews, the disciples especially, thought that Jesus was getting ready to take over the Roman Empire. He was getting ready to establish his kingdom at that time. And that's why they did not want to evangelize the Gentiles. Yeah, they had this me-only attitude. This me-only attitude, all right? And that's what the Trump and the rest of them have today. America only. They're not saying America first. They're saying America only. It's a nationalistic attitude, and it's the same way the disciples had, and Jesus had to tell them, listen, that's not why I came here. So he sent the Apostle Paul and Peter and Peter, James, and John, the inner circle, and even they didn't want to evangelize, and God had to put one brother Peter to sleep. And showed him meat that was forbidden to be even touched. And he says, hey, rise, Peter, slay that and eat it. And he said, I ain't touching that. That's unclean. And God says, how dare you call what I made unclean? Boy, you better eat that. Yeah. All right. And then what he was doing, God was preparing Peter to witness to a Gentile by the name of Cornelius. And he finally reluctantly went to that boy's house to preach the gospel to him. But Peter, like many of you, were hypocrites. Why? Because Peter was living in the house of a tanner. Oh my God, today. And God had to show him his hypocrisy. If you telling me you can't touch an unclean thing, but you in the house of a tanner have dead carcasses laying all around his house, and you living in that house, and you telling me you can't touch that stuff. Go to this unclean who you called unclean and minister to him. And he did finally, and his whole house was saved. That's what y'all do. Y'all look at these people who are not like you, who dress like Ariana Grande, who don't talk like you in these church cultural terms, and you say, I want to fool with them. I'd rather be with the doctors, because I'm a doctor, so I'm going to be with doctors, and doctors are healing each other. Oh, man, I didn't mean to go this way, but I'm here now, and the 33 y'all going to take here, stay right here and take it. Take it. Take it. Take it. Some of y'all you probably don't get that one. Just Google it, okay? The church don't want to deal with the real issues that people have. Who said that? Vicky? Oh, Freddie says these are the type of people that would keep Zacchaeus up in the tree. Freddie Banks, I love it at you, man. And trust me, he know I love him because he know I don't swing that way. All right. Now, I'm going to close this because I associate with Kojic folks, and you get 5 closes, and I think what number am I at now? I can't keep up. The Me Too movement is eating this up. The Twitter is eating this up. Instagram is eating this up. Facebook is eating this up. What Bishop Ellis did. They saying, see, we told you there's a culture in the churches, and they're using him as a sacrificial lamb. Unfortunately, they misinterpreted his move. So I have to protect him in this case. What they saw was not what he purposed in his heart to do. He was being extra friendly, and now this is a lesson to Bishop Ellis that he can't be this way anymore. He can't. Because there's a church too movement as well. In Chicago and around the country, if not around the world, a lot of Catholic priests are finally getting their just reward for touching these boys and some of these girls, okay? Unfortunately, it's happening, and there's a church hotline. Clergy abuse hotline here in Chicago by Madigan, Lisa Madigan. She is the state's attorney general here. It's happening, but it's not just in the Catholic Church. It's happening in probably every denomination in America. This is going on. It's just that the Catholic Church is the one that's being, well, it's their time. All right? And these bishops and these cardinals, and they even saying the Pope knew about this stuff, and all they're doing is reassigning these men. They're just reassigning them to other little parishes and churches and what have you. And that's unfortunate that that's happening. All right? So this Me Too movement ain't taking the friendly gropes anymore. Brothers, you pastors and elders and ministers, from now on, I suggest, if you're going to greet the young ladies in public, the best thing to do to save yourself is just shake their hands. All right? If y'all got a culture of hugging each other, and that's the way y'all do it, by all means, if you're doing it that way right now and it's working for you and the congregation, then don't stop. Just don't be nasty with it. If you're doing it with horrible intentions of getting that woman into your bed, then you are a dog. Okay? Shame on you. If you like the girl, just tell her. You ain't got to grope her. There's a song called "Always Be Humble and Kind." I think it's probably one of the greatest country songs that I know. Who is it by? Is it by Keith Urban? No, I don't think it's Keith Urban. When you guys are done with this show here, let me type this in here. Yeah, here it is. When you guys are done with this show, go to Tim McGraw's song. Tim McGraw's song called "Humble and Kind," and look at the lyrics in that song. I think it's the best way to end this show. Always be humble and kind. Especially towards the end of the song, he talks about what love really is. Saying this to the woman is not saying, or what he says, I think he alludes to saying "I love you" is not the way to get her in bed or something like that. I think it's just a brilliant song. I believe that revival is coming through those unchurched, tattooed people you talked about. Carmen Davis, I agree with you. I agree with you, Carmen Davis. God is going to use them in a mighty way. Those unchurched, those tattooed persons, because Jesus had to rebuke the disciples or the Pharisees. Who was it that he rebuked? Because they were talking about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Who's the greatest? Who's the greatest? Jesus offended them. He pretty much says that little boy right there is going to be the greatest. But then he also says the harlot and the publican going to get to heaven before you do. Now that's a slap in the face. That hoe, y'all calling the hoe on the street, gonna get to heaven before you. You who wearing your two-piece suits and your holy cross with the rope with the cross, and your class A and the ring and the funny hat, okay? The funny hats y'all wear, all right? Y'all look holy, but the Pharisees wanted to be called rabbi as they walked up and down the street with those same garb on. And Jesus says, don't recognize them. Ignore those fools. Don't call them rabbis. They are wolves in sheep clothing. He said, that prostitute though, that's your commission. Go talk to her. Yeah. Yeah. Shake their hands and scratch her palm. Yeah, June. Yeah, shake. This happens. I'm telling y'all, this happens to me a lot in church. I pray that we will come to reflect the true image of Christ soon. Jonathan Williams, that man right there, I love him. The Daints still need to be saved from themselves and their religious ideology. Yep, Daints or saints. I think you meant saints, Victoria. The shaking of the hands and this. Oh, that goes on a lot with the brothers and the sisters. It ain't just the brothers are doing this. The sisters are doing it too. Ooh, man, they shake. So that they say, hold hands, everybody, as we say the dismissal prayer. All the brothers can't wait for that part of the service. And then here they go. And then they go to squeeze and they do this. Yeah, you know what's happening. That's language. Yeah, that's cold. It's not really cold. It's just right there in your face. This means, ooh, I'm so into you. What do you do? What do you do, ladies? Some of the women that are here are bold enough to say, hey, right in the middle of the prayer. Hey, it'll stop the prayer. What you doing, man? I want to pray with you, but you're groping me, bro. No, you groping me. Your wife is right over there. Somebody called me the other day, talked about that. I can't say, maybe I said already too much right there. But I've been getting those calls from those grope calls, and they say, Walter, I had to expose the brother. All right? So there's some ladies at my church I will embrace. I embrace them because the relationship we have is brother and sister, and we do it openly in front of everybody. All right? We don't go to the car and then embrace. We don't do that. When we dismiss, we openly. I say, hey, everybody, look. Gather around. You missionaries, all right? Mother's board, come over here. Deacons, come over here. And you clergy, come over here. I'm getting ready to hug Sister LaQuinda. Yeah. I'm hugging her right now. Point your cameras over here. You got an iPhone? You got a phone? That's good pictures, okay? You got an Android? Well, let's pray for her. She got an Android. What is that? Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's a new Android. They got better. All right, we're getting ready to hug. Everybody on the count of 3. Here we go. We're hugging. 1, 2, 3, and let go. You can't hold each other. That's what's going on now. Y'all holding each other in the corner, and she's talking to you while she's holding you. And, hey, Brother John, listen. You know anybody who's a carpenter? And I could, because my house, while she's talking to you, she's holding you like that. And sometimes I'm like, oh God. And I'm pulling. I'm trying to pull. Oh, I'm trying to pull while she's talking to me about carpentry work. I don't do carpentry work, all right? But you want to know, do I know anybody? And I'm pulling. I'm like, oh, yeah. I got somebody. Let me look at my phone. Okay, and she's holding me. I'm like, okay, you don't really want carpentry work. You want a plumber. And you want me to put some Drano in your pipes. Yeah, I have an Android. Watch it. Deanne says. Yeah. So you got to know. You got to have discernment to understand when she don't just want somebody to do some roofing. She needs some drilling happening. So she needs either a construction worker or she needs a plumber. Yeah. You remember that bird on Sesame Street? Yeah, June. Who is it? It's the plumber. I come to fix the sink. Yeah, you remember that bird? Yeah, that's the daughter who. Okay, all right. So brothers, I'm trying to tell you, be careful, cause the sistering out there, and somebody turned the water off. The city turned the water off from the street. And then it was off for a while, and then they turned the water back on, Pastor Lumpkin. And so they turned the water back on, and so she turned the water on in the house, and gook started coming out of it. Dirty water. Yeah, pipes and then eroded and rusted, and she said, and so she said, Brother Jones, no, she do it at church. She don't even call me. She waits to get to church. Brett Jones said, yeah, hey, you know any plumbers? Yeah. So now I feel like I'm in a straitjacket. I'm like, yeah, my brothers, they plumb. They great plumbers. Yeah, well, here's the story. And she telling me the story while I'm trying to break loose. I'm trying to break loose. Why? Because the saints are watching, and the saints are so nosy, they got their watch on. They're like, okay, L. Jones, look at L. Jones, because he used to be a hoe, and we don't want him to go back into, all right, we don't want him to slip back into, here we, uh-oh. It's been 30 seconds already. It's been 30 seconds. Hey, Joe. Hey, man, last night, L. Jones was holding that woman for 30 seconds. What? Yeah, 30 seconds, dude. 30 seconds. Man, that's a record. Yeah. I think something going on. I think they sleeping together. Call everybody. I'm trying to tell y'all. The Saints got their radar on. Funny thing about the radar, though, a lot of times the radar is broken because the very person that he ain't sleeping with, the woman that he's sleeping with, you don't know. The woman that he's sleeping with, he don't hug her. They got a pact. They come to church and they say, hi. Hi. The woman he don't want to sleep with, she all... Brett, let me ask you a question. Yes. Tell me, what's the meaning of life? Google it, baby. Google it. No, I want to know from you because I heard that you got thousands of listeners on you. What's the meaning of life? Huh? What's the meaning of life? Google it, woman. Google it. Okay, that's what I have to deal with. But the very woman that I could be sleeping with is the one I see, way over there in the corner. And I'll say, hi. And that hi means, meet me tonight, 7 o'clock, over at the Motel 7. That's a step up from the old Motel 6, because not only do they leave the light on, they put some bagels out for you. All right, Daphne. Nope, they keep their distance in public. Come on, Felicia. Come on. Now, here's the problem, though, Felicia. What you're supposed to do is the one you're sleeping with, you're supposed to talk to her, because if you don't talk to her, then the people think something going on because you ain't talking to her. June, come on. It is the rope-a-dope. It is the politics of the church. You gotta talk to her because you're sleeping with her. If you ain't sleeping with her, don't talk to her. But if you don't talk to her, then you're sleeping with her. It's problematic. You gotta, Felicia, you gotta figure this thing out. Oh man, I don't know. And here's the thing. If when you see somebody and you don't really talk to her, it's fine. People don't even think that. But once you sleep with her and then don't talk to her, then the people think there's something going on. It's like we're all connected. I gotta go. I've been on here too long. It's a Saturday, and I want to wash my car like y'all do so I can get ready for Sunday to be groped. I love y'all, and let's talk about this again. I didn't mean to be impolite. My hand was right there, and some of y'all got your phone connected. You know how y'all ladies got your phone connected to your shirt right next to you, and I did that. I'm so sorry. I'd like to apologize to all y'all who got your phones close to your body. And I was only trying to take this off of the phone. It pries the phone up. And now y'all gonna take a snapshot of my hand next to your body part. And you're gonna put it on kojicwatch.org, clergyabuse.com, because my hand was... Now, that might be funny, but let me tell you, there's some women out there is just that desperate to get a man that they'll go to that measure to entrap them. Just ask me for a date. I know what they say. They tell y'all the man's supposed to chase. And I get that. We're in a new world now. And I know y'all be talking about he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But y'all don't realize that the King James Bible don't use he. The King James that y'all swear by says whoso. The Bible said whoso finds a wife finds a good thing. So whoso could be anybody, because all these brothers in the Bible didn't find a wife for themselves. Their mama found a wife. Their father found a wife. Yeah. Did Jacob find his own wife? Or was it? All right. So whoso means anybody can find a wife. But whoever find a wife for you, find us a good thing. So it's all right, ladies. It's okay. It's all right to let me know. Just call me. Say, Brother Jones, yes, I liked you. No, say, I loved it at you. That's my language right there. I loved it at you. I liked it at you too. And I'll say, you know what, Hoppo? I think I liked it at you too. And then we go out for sandwiches and call it a day. Unfortunately, I might tell you, I liked it at you, but we can't go nowhere. I'm too busy. And I'm trying to write a book, which is going to be released in February the 14th. It's almost finished. I'm too busy. Maybe I liked it at somebody else more did it. All right, I got to go. Hey, y'all, hit the share button if you can. If you're on YouTube, go bing, hit the bell, and subscribe. You don't need any more trouble at this gate. Pastor Lunkin, you just prophesied. If you ain't never prophesied, you did today. You got up here talking about how queens turn into Deanne. You got the last word. I will play my piano. I'll do it tonight. Sirwalterj Jones Show.